But a big way that they will potentially get or not get that bye, something that they would need to have in order to get that number one seed, they need to win against the Eagles. Other things would also need to happen. Like I think the Eagles would have to lose against the Bills on Sunday.
They got
But
to lose at least, one other game. Well, if they want to reclaim the one seed, they got to lose this weekend, pretty much. Yeah.
yeah. Um how do you feel about the Eagles game coming up? Do you think that the Seahawks win brace the 49ers for it at all, or do you think it's going to be a whole new level of challenge for the
No,
49ers?
I think it'll be a new challenge. I don't think the Seahawks game kind of relates in a way, just because I think the 49ers match up well against the Seahawks. But when you look at the Eagles, I mean, I'll say what I said against last year when I picked the Eagles to win in that game. It's just a good matchup overall. For Philly and SF, they have a good matchup. You talk about offensive lines. Philly's got, one of the best offensive lines, if not the best in the NFL. That's going to be a good counter for what the 49ers have, creating an intriguing battle in the trenches. And then you talk about the entire offense. I mean, you got A.J. Brown there who can win in a number of different ways. He's talented, he can win over the top. But then you also got Devontae Smith, who's in a way AJ Brown is similar to Debo Samuel, Devontae Smith similar to Brandon Ayuk, and the capabilities that the guys have. Obviously, a little bit different in skill set with the talent they have. And then you got Jalen Hurts. The one issue when you talk about Jalen Hurts is the 49ers struggle against rushing quarterbacks, and Hurts has the capacity to take on a load in the run game. He can run at a high level. You talk about a strong run game there in Philly too. The 49ers run defense has been pretty strong, but when you space them out, that's when they've been prone to missing tackles in the past. And so, you can talk about a couple of flaws, and that's only on one side of the football. The other side, Philly's got a strong defense. They got good guys up in the interior. Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox. The 49ers also have struggled at times with their interior offensive linemen against strong defensive tackles. Those guys can serve as disruptors. And then, I mean, Hassan Reddick, everybody knows what happened last time he played against Brock Purdy, which is unfortunate. You got some good, good players over there in Philly, some good cornerbacks as well. Kevin Byard's there. I just think the matchup is very difficult, especially when you're going there to face, playing the link.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm nervous and I agree it's going to be a different level, a different test for the 49ers. This game to me is going to be much more what to expect if they do get later rounds in the playoffs. I think this is the level of competition that the 49ers can come to expect and that they're going to need to prove that they can beat in order to win the Super Bowl if that is their that not if that is their ultimate goal. Um I'm interested. I hope that it'll be a really good, close spot win game. I'm not gonna say that I think the 49ers are gonna win. I'm more nervous. Like I think I'm leaning towards them losing, but I don't want to put that energy out there. Um I don't think like you've kind of heard people say like which team wants it more. The 49ers obviously talked a lot of trash and when it first happened. I think they've calmed down since then. But more what they were kind of saying is like we wanted an opportunity to come out and be able to play you guys with all of our players intact and with two very talented teams going against each other with all their best talent. Now, some people can say, hey, they took out your talent. That credit goes to them. So I'm not saying that's wrong or right, but the 49ers definitely talked a big game. So that guys like Devo Samuel is going to go in on there with, and Christian McCaffrey was visibly frustrated. Radio Row, the Super Bowl week. The 49ers think that they could have gone to the Super Bowl this year. And then, Philadelphia, at least their fans, they want the team to show up and kind of, shut the 49ers up and say, hey, we did deserve to win. We were the better team and we're still the better team now. And I hope that at the very least it'll be a really fun game. I think fans were kind of robbed of a very exciting matchup. And I'm excited to see what happens. I hope that both coaches bring their best game plan. And I hope that it's not like I mean, if the 49ers are dominating, obviously I won't be upset about it. But I'm anticipating a close fought win or a close fought game on both either side of the ball.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, and I think that kind of the number one thing that I think will ultimately dictate what side it goes is Brock Purdy. I mean, we talk about Brock Purdy and the I guess the recency of him, right? Because he hasn't played too many games, which means you don't play too many games like in playoff environments. Purdy has been one of the most successful regular season quarterbacks in history. I think he's won 13 of his 16 regular season games thus far. He's been very successful as a regular season quarterback so far in his career. The question, though, for Purdy isn't how well can he play against regular competition. We know he can play well. That is not a question. It's can he carry a team if needed? How well can he play under pressure against elite teams? And how what can that ultimately translate to? And Philadelphia is the best test. I mean, if you're talking about NFC teams, or really teams on the 49ers schedule, there's two where you can really be, pointing out as really good challenges. Philadelphia and then the Baltimore Ravens in Week 16, right before Christmas. Because Philadelphia, like I said earlier, possesses a strong defensive line. This 49ers
Correct.
offensive line is not to par with this Philly offensive line. They're still not bad, but they're not as good as they were last year, in my opinion. And so, if
Agree.
you're talking about this offensive line, if you're going up against Philly, you're going to face some pressure as Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy won't have as much time. His margin for error will be less, and so this game is one that I feel like is going to kind of tell us a little bit
He's gonna
more
have to
about
step
Brock
up.
Purdy exactly against prior to the playoffs. Because if you see Brock Purdy have a really solid performance, being able to carry his team through some adversity, then you're a lot more confident in him going into the playoffs. That's I think going to be a determining factor because the offensive line, I think, is going to have some ups and downs against Philly, which means that it's going to be on the quarterback in a way to help carry his team.
I love that. He's definitely going to need to escape pressure, try to minimize the amount of sacks he's playing, really minimize his poor plays. We don't want this to be a, it, we don't want him to throw one interception, but you don't definitely don't want it to be like a multiple interception game where we've kind of seen him before get flustered, felt like maybe more of the game was on him and he starts to kind of have the tendency to do too much. I think that the 49ers have shown that they can dominate games when they get off to an early lead, their defense is making stops and they're kind of playing from ahead, but it's those gritty wins that we haven't seen them be able to pull, completely pull out yet. Where when it comes to the Eagles, I do think that they've been tested in that way. And that's a way that I've seen some fans kind of try to discredit the Eagles, is they'll kind of be like, oh, well, like they're not they are winning more than anyone else, but they're not dominating. And to me, I actually want, not that, you don't want this if they could obviously go the entire if they could go the whole way and win the Super Bowl being up the whole time, I think that'd be great. But I just think that's unrealistic. So I think there is something as a fan in seeing your team be down or at least be in like a dogfight and be able to pull it out. And I feel like this is going to be the first time that the 49ers have an opportunity to do that. And I hope that they show up. I think that emphasis on protecting the football and making smart decisions and playing smart is going to be really important for Brock Purdy. But he's also gonna have to toe the line because you can't play it too safe against a team that has the ability to make such explosive plays. Like if they want to score quickly, the Eagles could score quickly. So the Purdy's gonna have a big um challenge ahead of himself where he's deciding between doing the correct thing with the football and then also knowing when to take his opportunities and when to kind of risk it and take chances because I think that that will be important and it'll be important it'll be interesting to see if he picks the right moments or not. I think it'll be at the very least a really intriguing game. I'm really excited to watch it.
No, I agree, and I think that that's a good take when you talk about it. It's going to be a statement game for Purdy, and so I think that that's going to be something to definitely watch out for. And I think that that's something the 49ers, when you talk about it, are going to look to prepare for Purdy. You're going to try and see kind of what, how he can progress through the moment. You got a strong team. I think they're going to be at 100%. Aaron Banks hopefully, gets another week of recovery for that turf toe. You'll see
Yeah.
what they do at right guard. I'm going to assume that they're going to start Feliciano. I'm going to assume that that's going to kind of be the plan, um, or at least be in somewhat of a rotation. And so you're going to get a full team. We'll see. It's a good challenge, though, for sure, for the 49ers.
I'm really excited for watching it. The last thing that I wanted to say, just to update everyone, Warren Burks what was rolled out, I think, for the entire year. With
George Odom,
a
you mean?
bicep
Yeah.
George Odom, sorry. Um, with I was thinking about Chris from Twitter. Um, East Bay Chris, but with a bicep tear. So hopefully, my prayers go up to him and hopefully he'll have a good speedy recovery. But it does seem like the 49ers are going to need to bring in a safety with the loss of Hufanga. And obviously, I mean, I didn't see any amazing plays for him, but I think if your name's not getting called in a negative way, Jerry Brown, I think, did okay. So it'll be interesting to see if they add someone on there. And I think you and I will get to talk one more time before the Philly game. But I really hope you had a great holiday. I hope everyone watching had a great holiday. Obviously, a 49ers win makes it better. A little bit of vengeance seeing the 49ers eat the turkey, throw the turkey into the stands. I saw some fans picking up the turkey from the stands and then eating it, which I feel like is not hygienic.